Welcome to Lesson 29.11, Continuous Monitoring. Now, Information Security Continuous Monitoring, or ISCM, is defined by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, as, quote, maintaining ongoing awareness of information security, vulnerabilities, and threats to support organizational risk management decisions. In essence, always knowing what's going on. Now, the objective of ISCM is to continually measure and report on the effectiveness of organizational security controls, including traffic flow, capacity management, and fault detection. Now, the foundation of ISCM are tools and processes to collect, analyze, and report out, now preferably in an automated manner. Now, whenever possible, there should be an orchestration of the tools. An orchestration of tools is when we can take disparate tools and we have them work together. Now, SCAP, which stands for Security Content Automation Protocol, is a collection of open standards that were developed by NIST to help organizations automate the process of managing and evaluating security configurations and vulnerabilities in a computer system. SCAP provides a standardized approach for expressing and sharing security-related information, including configuration settings, vulnerability data, and patch management. And it consists of several component standards that work together. And we're going to be talking about those components. But if you say, oh man, I really want more information, there's a link right on the page for you to go out to learn more about Security Content Automation Protocol. So what are the components? Well, we have the Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures, CVEs, Common Configuration Enumerators, CCEs, the Common Platform Enumeration, CPE, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, CVSS, and the Open Vulnerability and Assessment Language, or OVAL. The Common Vulnerabilities and Exposure Database are common identifiers for publicly known security vulnerabilities. The Common Configuration Enumeration is common identifiers for system configurations. The Common Platform Enumeration is a naming convention for identifying software applications, operating systems, and device hardware. The Common Vulnerability Scoring System is a framework for assessing the severity of software vulnerabilities. And OVAL, the Open Vulnerability and Assessment Language, is a standardized language for expressing vulnerability assessments and configuration checks. So let me give you an example of how you might use SCAP in vulnerability management. An organization uses a SCAMP-compliant vulnerability scanning tool to periodically scan their network devices and systems. The tools leverage SCAP's standardized vulnerability definitions, the CVEs, and scoring system, the CVSS, to identify vulnerabilities and assign severity levels. The scan results are then presented in a unified format, allowing administrators to prioritize and remediate vulnerabilities based on their severity. And lastly, SCAP content, such as security benchmarks and checklists, is used to assess the compliance of system configurations with industry standards and best practices. Another widely used tool is SNMP, or Simple Network Management Protocol. And we talked about this one briefly when we were talking about secure protocols. Now, it's a widely used network management protocol that allows administrators to monitor and manage network devices. Now, SNMP provides a standardized framework for collecting and organizing information about your network devices and their performance. But remember when we talked about secure and insecure protocols, talked about the need to update to SNMP version 3. Why version 3? Because version 3 incorporated authentication, encryption, and access control features and functionality. So let's dive into the SNMP components. We have managed devices, SNMP agents, and SNMP managers. The managed devices are the network devices that are monitored and managed using SNMP. So examples include our routers, our switches, our servers, our printers, and their network appliances. SNMP agents are software modules that are installed on managed devices. They collect and they store information about a device's performance, and they respond to queries from SNMP management systems or managers. And those queries are called GET requests. SNMP management systems send SNMP queries to agents to retrieve information, but they can also issue configuration commands to the device. So we have the managed devices, the agents, and the managers. So let's take a look at network monitoring with SNMP. The network administrator sets up SNMP agents on routers, switches, and other network devices. SNMP management systems are configured to send periodic SNMP queries or GET requests to the SNMP agents, retrieving network performance data and device status. Now, the management system collects the SNMP data, such as interface utilization, error rates, CPU usage, and memory usage, to monitor the health and the performance of the network. And thresholds and alarms can be set to trigger notifications. Those notifications are referred to as SNMP traps when certain conditions are met, such as excessive bandwidth use or device failures. So that would be an example of network monitoring with SNMP. Remember, you want to go to version 3. The NetFlow is a network protocol that was developed by Cisco Systems that allows the collection and analysis of network traffic data. The NetFlow enables the monitoring of network traffic by capturing and analyzing flow data. A flow represents a sequence of packets that share common characteristics, such as source and destination IP address, port, protocol, or other attributes. So NetFlow-capable devices, such as routers and switches, generate flow records containing information about those network flows. Now, IPFix is an industry-standard protocol that's based on NetFlow version 9 that does provide vendor-agnostic format. So let's look at some NetFlow use cases: traffic analysis, capacity planning, bandwidth utilization, malicious sources, and detecting anomalies. With NetFlow, we can have visibility into network traffic patterns. We can have insight into source volume and bottlenecks. We can track and trend bandwidth utilization. We can identify sources of malicious traffic, DDoS attempts, and unauthorized access. And we can detect anomalous or suspicious network activities. So I want to give you a capacity planning orchestration example. Remember, orchestration is when we take disparate systems and we get them to work together. So what if we could get all three, NetFlow, SNMP, and SCAP to work together? What would that look like? Let me give you an example. So this is for capacity planning. That's our goal. We're going to use the information gathered from NetFlow for network traffic analysis to assess our current capacity. We'll integrate SNMP version 3 data to monitor device health, performance, and capacity. We'll align SCAP assessments with SNMP data to ensure that configurations comply with the defined standards. And then we'll use the combined SCAP, NetFlow, and SNMP output to make informed decisions about capacity planning, equipment provisioning, and resource allocation. So these are just 3 examples of tools and protocols we can use for continuous monitoring of our network. That brings us to a 3-second challenge. 5 challenge questions, 3 seconds each. You know how to do this. Network management protocol that allows administrators to monitor and manage network devices. 1, 2, 3. That's going to be SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol. Number 2, SNMP software modules that are installed on the managed devices. 1, 2, 3. And that's SNMP agents. Number 3, industry standard protocol based on NetFlow version 9 that provides vendor-agnostic format. 1, 2, 3. And that's IPFix. Number 4, a standardized approach for expressing and sharing security-related information. 1, 2, 3. And that's Security Content Automation Protocol, or SCAP. And lastly, number 5, a standardized language for expressing vulnerability assessments and configuration checks. 1, 2, 3. And that was OVAL, the Open Vulnerability and Assessment Language. Let's do a security in action about monitoring tools. Your company employs SNMP, NetFlow, and SCAP. You're convinced that the company is not using the tools to their full potential, and you're exploring ways to integrate the tools with management processes. Your first initiative is incident response. So how can SNMP, NetFlow, and SCAP be practically applied? So your first initiative, incident response, and I'm asking you, how do we integrate SNMP, NetFlow, and SCAP? How are we going to apply them? Go ahead and put me on pause. Write down some notes for how you can apply these 3 for incident response. Come on back when you're ready. Well, during a security incident, NetFlow data can be used to reconstruct network activities, trace the source and the spread of attacks, and understand the impact. SCAP can be employed to assess affected systems for vulnerabilities, check configurations, and identify potential security weaknesses that might have been exploited. And then SNMP traps and SNMP management systems play a role in real-time incident detection and alerting, providing notifications for critical security events. So we've used NetFlow, SCAP, and SNMP. Knowing how to use these tools and protocols individually and collectively, that's security in action. All right, that, my friends, is the end of this lesson. And that brings us to our next deep dive quiz. So make sure that you grab a pen or pencil and some paper and head on over. I'll be waiting for you there.